Sly Manfi says, Florentino, Perez, or Santiago, Bernabeu, Yeste, who has the bigger Real Madrid legacy in your opinion, and why?
I think it's fair to say that both are equal. I think that both have been a revolution for Real Madrid and also for Spanish football. Obviously, when Bernabeu came, he signed Di Stefano. He had a vision for the club that no one else pretty much in the entire world of football had. And the same pretty much can be said about Florentino. Nobody thought that any president in football history could put together this Galactico team during his first years. So I think it's very hard for me to pick one. I think they are both pretty much equal in terms of their legacy and their importance of within the club, but also in the world of football in general, and how important their vision was to change the entire landscape of football, if you will.
In a lot of ways, it feels like they're the same person, just reincarnated.
Yeah.
Obviously,
yeah.
obviously they lived at the same time at one point, so that's not possible. But it really feels like we got like they're like different. They just had different names, and they just came along. One at the one towards the 40s/50s, and then one in modern era. The thing with legacy is like how people will remember both, and just given the fact that Florentino Perez is doing all this stuff now, people will remember him, especially the younger generation, not necessarily knowing much about Bernabeu. And I think Florentino will have the bigger legacy because of that. But I think you could argue if that happens to be true, I think you can argue that Bernabeu was the more important one. Like you talk about like Florentino's vision with the stadium and the Galacticos. Bernabeu literally signed Galacticos and also built a new stadium, from the Chamartín to the Bernabeu. And then you talk about like the vision to bring in the Puskás, the Di Stefanos, and then also just the importance of him piecing together the club after the Civil War, which was not Real Madrid wouldn't have existed for him if not for him. So by that alone, it makes him more important in my opinion. But yeah, they're both.
Yeah, and he was the pioneer, if you will. Florentino took on and followed his footsteps, if you will. So maybe that alone by itself gives him the nod ahead of Florentino, maybe.
Nader Sharabianlu says, and I know Nader is Persian like myself, and I still can't pronounce his last name, so my apologies, Nader. He says, hi, gentlemen, great work. What is the contribution of Hazard above and beyond what Isco can provide? The game against Alcoyano brought this to light. Isco came in and did what Hazard was trying to do, but better. I believe Olm was making this point 3-4 years ago, but before 3-4 years ago, before we signed Hazard. At that time, Chelsea Hazard was on a different level. But now it's hard to see his contributions beyond what Isco offers.
I would agree with Nader here. I think that it's hard to point an encouraging attribute in what Hazard has done in this season and also in the last one. I think that obviously you would expect Hazard to take on opponents better than Isco, to have more speed, more physicality, to break through lines through the defensive line. Definitely better than Isco, who is more of a possession-oriented player, if you will, who distributes the ball more in a horizontal way instead of vertically with Hazard. But again, on paper they should be very different. But Hazard hasn't offered these things that I just talked about for quite some time. I don't think he's definitely been efficient of the dribble taking on opponents. I don't think he's been aggressive trying to do that either. So it's definitely a worrisome aspect of Hazard's recovery, and one that definitely makes you understand why Ancelotti has pretty much decided that Vinicius is going to play every single game, because Hazard is not ready to replicate what Vinicius has been doing on the pitch.
I think this is the correct take. I think Isco should be getting all of Hazard's minutes. If Olm made that point 3-4 years ago, that's really impressive. But I've definitely come to this realization now for sure. Like, if you look at Hazard, if you want to play him as a as a winger. He can't dribble. Isco can at least dribble. Like, you can say that Isco's not quick as Vinicius and Rodrigo. That's true, but Hazard is. If then what is Hazard? Like, he's definitely not quick. Isco can dribble better than Hazard at this stage, and Isco's also a better playmaker. He is a better ball progressor. Like, especially if you're not going to play Cruz, Isco has to play, in my opinion. But if you're going to put a left winger, like, I would rather have Isco there. It's not. Isco should be soaking up Hazard's minutes, but so should like almost anybody at this point. Like, I would almost rather have. And this is kind of a joke, but it's kind of not. Like, I would almost rather, if Hazard's just going to be like this floating guy who just floats around and just gets the ball, keeps it, and then passes it to somebody else, I would almost rather just Modric play that role too, and then just put an extra midfielder, because Modric would be a better 10 than Hazard would as well. I feel like I just put everyone ahead of Hazard at this point. So
yeah, even Benzema on that position and play Jovic up front. I mean,
yeah.
Anybody but Hazard at this point. Hazard has been showing a very evident and obvious lack of aggression, which is hurting Real Madrid, considering that, you know, he's playing in a position where you need this verticality and this aggression. And people talk a lot about Asensio and Rodrigo being goats from time to time, and it's true and fair. They've been, especially in Getafe, they were pretty horrendous and pretty much sleepwalking throughout the entire game. But again, Hazard has been very discouraging, and I think that I know it's tough because of his salary and because of his role and his reputation, but I don't think he deserves to play more minutes than Bale at this point, for example.
What's up, YouTube? This is Kiyan Sobani. I hope you enjoyed that clip. As a reminder, we go much deeper down the rabbit hole every single day, and this is a clip from Thursday's Mailbag, which you just listened to, where Lucas Navarrete and I, we answer all of your Real Madrid questions. It's a world-famous Real Madrid Mailbag, which you can access by becoming a patron over on patreon.com/managingmadrid. You can ask us questions there, and then you get access to the full podcast, which is quite lengthy. You get that plus a ton more bonus content. And I just wanted to let you guys know that on Wednesday, the Super Cup versus Barcelona, we are doing a live Zoom podcast. And to get access to that link, and you get video breakdown and analysis live on Zoom while we record the podcast, you can chat with us, you can chat with other people in the chat box, you can ask us questions. That's only available for patrons. So if you want access to that link, make sure you're a patron. And we have a special deal right now where if you sign up for an annual membership over on patreon.com/managingmadrid, you get 2 months free. So you pay for 12 months and then you pay for 10 months and you get 12 months as part of the deal. So go and take advantage of that over on patreon.com/managingmadrid. And congrats to everyone who got tickets to Miami, because we have some really special guests. And I can't spoil it yet, but you guys are going to be in for a real treat. So see you guys in Miami on January 20th. And it's not too late to book tickets. You can still do that. Just go to the show notes and you can do that there. Thank you. Hala Madrid.